want to try this again. I have been trying, this is probably my 4th time trying to do a video, and I've been interrupted by cats screaming, trucks driving by really fast, and just wind, man. Just so much wind. It's not a problem, it's just kind of funny. And I know I could probably film inside, but it feels too good to not film outside. Okay, got the wreath up. I also did this. I don't know if you can see it. Ooh. Oop, oop, oop. Yeah, that is actually, let me try to one more time. So it is a bouquet. That is a sprig of flowers with little ghosties on it. It's a bouquet. That was part of a Friday the 13th thing that some local shop had going on. My first tattoo also. And I've always wanted a tattoo, and I've always been chicken shit to go get one. And I was like, you know what? I was hanging out with a friend, and she kind of mentioned it, and I was like, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. And normally I'm the type that spends forever in a day trying to plan something that I end up with decision fatigue and not doing anything. So for me to just kind of be like spontaneous and just be like, hey, let's go do this, it's rare, and I take it as a sign that I'm healing from trauma and stuff, because I used to be so guarded and so meticulous, because I'm always afraid of like something going horribly wrong. And so to just kind of trust that I can make a decision on the fly and it'll be the right one the first time, that's a sign of growth. That's a sign of healing as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so I wanted to talk about sincerity and insincerity. Last night someone sent me a link to a documentary that was uploaded on YouTube, and it's called Sourdough. It was made in 1977, and it's kind of a story about a man who lives out in the Alaskan wilderness, and how it's really it's a propaganda piece about how people shouldn't be allowed to live in Alaska because they're just going to mess up like the pristine beauty of it all. Like, humans are only ever destructive is kind of the overarching message of it. And the person who sent it to me was directly saying that, and he's like, that's not why I sent it to you. I sent it to you because it really is a good look into like what my life here in Alaska is like, because I do live remote. And I appreciated what he sent me for the reasons that he sent me the movie, but at the same time I appreciated it for entirely different reasons, and including the fact that you can tell that this was a piece that was made with sincerity, and that is something that I really feel is missing in a lot of our modern media. What do I mean by that? So a lot of if you're old enough to remember, or if you've ever seen an older movie, then you'll know that they used to start with beginning credits, and it was always, there's some kind of fanfare or something, and this particular soundtrack had like harmonica music in it, and there's all the people's names coming across the screen, and there's all this beautiful cinematography of like him and his dogs going across the Alaskan wilderness with the sun in various places in the sky. It's real beautiful, the whole thing. And it kind of helps you settle into the mood and the tone of what the documentary or the movie is going to be about, right? And old movies back in the day they just all used to do that. With streaming and with everything being online and people kind of skipping past all that anyway, that went out the window. And now the ending credits, unless they're like a Marvel movie, people don't watch them, and those have gotten a lot shorter too. They speed past you really quickly. You're not really meant to linger. I think that's really it right there. You're not meant to linger on that which you've just watched or that which you are in the process or about to watch, right? You're not meant to linger on it. You're meant to just consume, and when it's over, you either put on another movie or you turn off, your computer, or you click away and go do something else. But you're not meant to linger anymore. And that's weird to me. And it's something that I really miss. And so seeing that in an older piece of media, kind of on a surprise, because I didn't know what the link to the YouTube thing was going to be. So to see something like that as opposed to just another meme or a silly video was really nice, actually. It made me slow down. Like I watched, it was like an hour and 33 minutes, and I sat there all night last night just watching this movie, and it was slower paced. And a thing that people will often talk about, movie critics, they always talk about the pacing. And a lot of people will complain if pacing is too slow. And while I can understand and I can appreciate that, and some movies really are just too slow, but there is something intentional being done there. It's intentionally slow to kind of get you to feel make the moment feel more real. I find that I cannot connect with a lot of newer movies because, in my opinion, they're too fast paced. And I think they're too fast paced because attention spans are shorter, and because people are doing this the whole time. They're on their phones, they're not actually like watching what they're watching. And so there's something really nice about a film that treats itself with sincerity and is at the pace that it is at, you know. And another thing is, while I'm watching the movie, there's a lot of like phrases of speech in the way that the main character narrates, because he doesn't speak, he just narrates for most of the movie. There's a way that, you know, he's talking, you know, saying his thoughts or whatever, that's just, it's filled with the word that kept popping into my head last night was reverence. This man had a reverence for nature and for its beauty. He had reverence for the life, the dogs that were with him, the life around him, for his friend who had passed away. There was sincerity felt within the way that he spoke and the words that he used. And I'm not saying that those things don't exist anymore, but they don't really exist anymore, okay? Like, the complete opposite of that is I saw an ad for the second Moana movie. And I don't remember the character's name, but it's the one that sings the You're Welcome song. And I'm gonna say this. A lot of newer movies, especially if they are made for a younger audience, they're not memorable. The characters are easily consumable, but they're all kind of the same character over and over and over again. They're all kind of goofy, stupid, and, you know, hapless, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't treat anything with any real sincerity. Like sincere moments are often interrupted in these modern kids movies with, you know, something really stupid or silly happening. Like, take for example the chicken in the Moana movies. He's put in there in all the scenes to make you laugh, especially when things are getting kind of tense. But you don't need that, and I don't think children need that. I really don't. My favorite movies growing up were the ones that weren't funny. My favorite movies were the ones like with musicals. My favorite movies were things like, you know, Pocahontas or whatever, Mulan. Those were, and they have musical numbers in them, and there are funny moments in both of those films. But the movie does not take itself as a joke. Whereas I feel like a lot of these newer movies, that's what they do. And so for the ad for the new Moana movie, there's a part where that character's like tied up and he's trying to get free, and he's, you know, going on about like, you know, we need to have a revolution, but he's saying it silly. And I thought about that, and I'm like, you know, when the English came over and you know, the movie Pocahontas, when they came over and they're singing that very racist Savages song, right? And they're singing that. They're not being funny, right? They mean that shit. The characters themselves mean what the hell they're saying. The storyline and the direction of the movie helps you as a viewer understand that this is real. This is meant to be taken with sincerity, seriously. You don't see that in a lot of modern films, especially ones that are geared towards a younger audience. And I think this is really interesting because I myself have noticed a lack of sincerity when I talk to younger people. Not only that, but a discomfort anytime sincerity is brought up. There's a loneliness epidemic with younger people. A lot of Gen Z is very lonely, right? And I think it's because they have kind of been conditioned by way of like the media that they consume, that everything is, you know, a guffaw, everything is a joke, everything is funny, you know. It's not that serious, it's not that deep. Like, there is this bored callousness with which that entire generation seems to be speaking with, that kind of just like, I'll talk like this, like nothing serious, like it's fine. And I'm not making mockery of people that talk like that, but I find it really interesting that generationally, like, it's kind of a thing. And there's an undertone there to imply that, like, they don't care, that they're removed. They are being very facetious, oftentimes on purpose, oftentimes in an ironic sort of way, kind of poking fun at their own generation for being that way. But they learned that. I think that they learned that sort of insincerity from the media they consumed, and also from just lack of real close relationships. I mean, if you think about it, if most marriages end in divorce, and most kids have, like, maybe just one parent in the home, parents are working if they do have both parents in the home, so they're not really learning emotional modeling and things like that from the older people. Really what they're getting is, older siblings, their babysitters, their teachers, and their peers, and the things that they consume. And with those last couple of groups, you're all going to be watching the same thing. You're all consuming the same thing. And so I think it's really led to a shift in how we not only treat each other, but how we view ourselves. And so I have friends that are younger than me. I'm 31. I have friends that are 17. I have friends that are 21, 22. And I also have friends that are old enough to be my parents, and friends that are old enough to be my grandparents. So I can be friends with people of any age, because I know how to hold space for that sincerity. And I treat everyone with a same type of respect. I'm not going to sit here and be dismissive of a teenager's pain just because they're a teenager, because I remember being treated that way, and I think that's where it comes from. If the people older than you treat you with callousness and treat you with insincerity, oh, you don't understand suffering, you've never suffered before, you're only 17 or however old, you don't know anything yet, right? But I know feeling. I know heartbreak. I know pain. You don't get taught these things. You don't get taught how to feel happy. You just are. Certain things make you happy. Certain things break your heart and make you sad and make you anxious, make you scared. And so if you're a Gen Z person and you grow up with movies that don't take themselves seriously, media and cartoons that don't take themselves seriously, everything is a joke. The characters are themselves the joke. And your parents and the people older than you treat you as if you don't know anything. They treat you as if you are inept in some way. You grew up to view yourself that way. And I distinctly see this in younger groups, but I didn't see it in my own generation as much, and I don't see it in older generations at all. And I think that the media and just the tone in social discourse has changed. And a big part of that is social media. A big part of it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. People aren't doing this because they're nefarious or because they're evil or because they don't care about other people. You have to be hard to survive in this world as a young person. And I don't care what anyone says. And if you know anything about economics, really know, if you really are paying attention, not just to the numbers, but to when you adjust things and you go back and you look at things historically, you would understand where we are today is a rougher spot than where our parents and most of our grandparents ever were. I don't care what you have to say about it. If you want to disagree with me, that's fine. Please go look it up. Please go look into that sort of thing, because when you adjust all the numbers, when you actually take into consideration a variety of factors, the fact that there's ghost jobs aren't really hiring anywhere, depression is on the rise, like isolation and loneliness are on the rise. People are living way beyond their means, for one, but at the same time, people can't even, my youngest of friends are having such a hard time saving up for even just a beater of a car. They can't save up for it the way that I could, the way that my parents could, because jobs don't want to hire teenagers anymore. It's not just that kids are lazy and they don't want to work. Everything about the modern world has changed. And so they themselves, on top of the callousness and the insincerity that they might already have, they have become more so that way by... There's a cat, hold on. Just shoo him along. They've kind of just become forced into that, And so I have a lot of sympathy for young people, and I think that we really should, because I think it's unfair to sit here and say that an entire generation is lazy or doesn't want to work. And what we're doing when we say that, beyond just invalidating them, is again, we are treating these people with insincerity. We are not meeting them and looking them in the eye. We are just casting a judgment on the entire lot of them. And I don't think that's fair. And I think that is why a lot of my youngest friends, they really struggle to emotionally open up. And I mean, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they struggle to open up and to find real meaning and real connection in their lives when everything that used to provide meaning has more or less been changed or taken away altogether, right? Marriage is basically meaningless to young people. They've seen their parents divorce or not even get married in the first place. They've seen the fighting and the violence. I grew up with that. They've seen the substance abuse. They've seen, economic uncertainty. They've seen their parents struggle as a result of like the 2008 recession. They've seen a lot of things. They have seen a lot of things. And children start seeing things and they start putting it together when they are much younger than you might realize if you're not a parent. I'm not a parent, but like I said, I'm friends with so many people. Actually, my youngest of friends is one of my friend's daughters. She's 4 years old. She's my friend. She's not my family member. She's my friend, and I care about her. And so I have to relate to her the way that I would relate to a 4-year-old, right? But the emotions are the same, right? And we forget that. So we treat people with insincerity. We treat them like they're not worth anything, like their insight isn't worth anything, like they're stupid. And they're not stupid. And I hate that for them. I really do. But worse than that, I hate that this culture of insincerity has kind of taught young people to treat themselves the same way. That if they open up and bare their heart and souls to their best friends, or if they make a song and really put their heart and soul into it and put it on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, people are going to call it cringe if they don't like it. I mean, really think about that. Why would you ever want to take a real risk? We say that romance is dead. Well, yeah. Our callousness towards sincerity has killed a lot of these things. It takes risk to be emotionally open with people. It takes risk to build real community with people. It takes a risk. It takes a risk. And you have to kind of put your own self-protection and your needs for the self, you kind of have to put them on the back burner a little bit to put yourself out there and meet people where they are. And that's what I'm getting at here. You have all these older generations that want to talk to the younger people like they're stupid, like they don't know anything, and what they're really doing is they're creating that first barrier. And then the younger people do the same thing, and they then will model that same callousness towards, the older people in their lives. And it creates a cycle of animosity. And if you really want to break that, you have to stop treating people like they themselves are a commodity, like they themselves are a joke. If you want to build real community, you have to treat yourself with respect and treat other people as the exact same way. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I'm just saying it out loud. That's all I ever do. Nothing I say is as profound, as deep, as anything like that. But I point it out because people have lost touch with themselves, and that bothers me. That actually really bothers me. My best friend, I've been friends with him for 20 years. 20 years, 2 decades. It'll be exactly 20 years in September of 25. I met him when I was 12 years old, in 6th grade, and I was a weird fucking kid. I'm still a weird fucking person. I was a weird fucking kid, y'all. I was so weird. But weirdness is sincerity. I was cringe, but that is sincerity. I was who the fuck I was, and if you didn't like it, oh well. I didn't have the internet there to really bully me and hound me. And there were people that made fun of me for my weight and the way that I looked and the way that I acted and things like that. But I was so focused and so weird and so in my own head that I didn't pay them any mind. And I don't think everybody can do that. I don't think everybody, because we're social creatures, first of all. It's not normal for us to kind of just tune out, what others are perceiving us as. But I think we have to be courageous. If you want to build real community, if you really want to overcome the division that is really eroding this country, if you really want to overcome it, you have got to be courageous. And what does that mean? That means you have to sit in conversations with people that you find to be a little bit intolerable, with people that you find that you are uncomfortable around. You have to hear things that are going to make you uncomfortable, and you have to learn how to hold space for that, ask questions, and try to find common ground, and not hold tight to wherever you come from. You know what I mean? It's not about convincing people to join our side. It's not about, making people feel stupid or making them feel any type of way. It's about understanding. You have to have a real solid grip on who you are and a real compassion for others to lead and to act with understanding. And part of how you have compassion for other people and other walks of life is by practicing, modeling, and consuming things that are good for you, things that kind of have an element of sincerity. And that's why, what you watch, television programming, right? It's called programming for a reason. What you watch, what you listen to, the music you listen to is the mantra in your head. Don't listen to music that glorifies abuse, drugs, cheating, and all that stuff, because otherwise that's what you're curating in your life. There is power in the voice, right? There is power in the voice. There is atoms. Everything is made up of atoms, right? So if I take the atoms and I'm speaking negative things and I'm sending it out there, that's real energy. If you ever look at experiments with like ice or water crystals where they're speaking negative words and they're speaking positive words, the ones with the positive words, the crystal shapes are beautiful. The ones where they're speaking nasty and hatefully are ugly. There is real weight and real power in what you say, how you say it, and how you show up in this world. And how you treat people and yourself matters. You cannot make everything about your own suffering a joke. It is a great survival skill to learn how to laugh at yourself. It really is. But you have to also practice compassion for yourself at the same time. At the same time. And that's hard to do in a world that is so incompassionate and has bees everywhere. It's hard to do that. Pay attention to what you're watching. Pay attention to the people, to the words they say, to the values, and not to alienate or to isolate yourself from them. Because they're just like you deep down, right? They're just like me deep down. Some people are so disconnected from feeling that you have to kind of pry it out of them. That's actually a skill that I have. That's actually, I have a lot of trauma in my past, but that is where the beauty of my soul comes from, is my trauma. That is absolutely true. And I'm grateful for it, because now I'm the sort of person, I'll tell you what kind of friend I am. I'm the sort of person that when someone loses someone close to them, I am the friend that sits with you in that pain. I don't try to sit here and get your mind off of it. I'm not going to shower you with a bunch of shock and oh my gosh, da da da. So I'm not going to sit here and, overwhelm you with an emotional response, but I'll tell you what I will do is I'll sit there in the quiet of it all, and I'll hold space for you to cry, for you to tell me about your favorite memories. I'm the person that I'm with you in that worst hour. Your pain does not make me uncomfortable. I always feel very blessed, very grateful when I get to be the friend that comforts other people. It is an honor to be in someone's circle when they are suffering. It's an even greater honor to be with them through a victory, through a good moment. But it is definitely, it's an honor, and it is a pillar of being a good person is being a good friend, is of being with other people. Something I used to tell my ex-husband that I don't think he quite understood was, love is an act of service. When I'm talking about sincerity, when I'm talking about compassion, what I'm really talking about is love. Love is an act of service. You have to love people. Really love them. It starts within yourself. You can't feed people from a garden if you're not growing anything. So you've got to start here. You've got to start in here. But it makes me a little sad what Christmas and what holidays and stuff have become, and what we have become anymore as a society. So divided and so reliant upon our consumptions and our addictions and our habits. I don't think we truly see each other anymore, you know? I think social media really gets in the way of that. We don't really see each other. Now we might see the names, the profile pictures, we might know who we're talking to, we might know things about them, but there is a difference between seeing with your eyes and seeing with your heart. And I'm talking about seeing people with your heart, really knowing them, you know? But if the pop culture, if the modern culture that you're living in does not model these things, if you're not being taught it at home, if you're not receiving it from your peers, from your teachers, then you do not know to be sincere, because you will always fear it as being overly emotional, dramatic, cringy, weird, right? It takes risk. It takes risks. So take the risk. Be there for someone. Host a get together. You know what I mean? Like, my hope for you is that you get to experience the privilege of being someone's person in your life. My hope is that you get to be the person that sits there in silence, holding someone's hand while they're crying, while they're mourning, while they're upset about something. I hope you get that opportunity, and I hope that you take it, and I hope that you're there with them before that and after that. And if you don't have good friends, if you don't have good people that are your community, start by being someone else's, okay? Plant seeds everywhere. You never know who's going to be a friend. You never know who's going to be a friend to you. You always need more friends. We need more community, okay? On average, people spend so much less time socializing than we used to generations ago. And that's sad. I myself am guilty of that. But I try to get my needs for socializing met, you know? Friday night, I went and got a spur-of-the-moment tattoo, trying to live a little bit more on the edge with an acquaintance. The day after, I hung out with my boyfriend, and the day after that, I went four-wheeling and hung out in the woods with one of my best friends. So, because it's good for me, right? When I first became friends with all of these people, you know, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what if they don't like me? What am I really saying, right? What am I really saying? Oh, I'm scared they don't like me. I'm saying, what if when I show them my authentic self, my sincere, real self, what if they reject that? What if that is too much or a burden to them? And why would that be something that I worry about? Because it's happened before, because that's been modeled to me before by older people, by peers. And I'm not alone in that. A lot of us are like that. So you got to get out of your own head. You got to start talking to people. You got to bridge the gap. You got to stop being afraid to be sincere. You know, say it with your chest out. Say it with your chest out. Love people dearly. And if you really want some inspiration on this sort of topic about, you know, really living with your heart on your sleeve, being sincere, and getting away from callousness, an excellent book, it's a short book too if you're not a reader, an excellent book or movie is Tuesdays with Morrie. Go watch that, go read that. Tuesdays with Morrie. The way that he loves his friends, he's an old man who's dying and he becomes very infirm and unable to take care of himself. But even as he's dying, he is so loving. And the narrator is like a younger man. The narrator talks about how just taken aback he is because, you know, Morrie will hold your hand, hold the hand of another man, and look into his eyes and tell him that he loves him as a friend. He has that sincerity. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. It is beautiful out here today, and yeah, unfortunately I have to get back in because I'm working today, but it's always a good time to come outside and just get a little esoteric, get a little lost in the weeds, if you will. So have a good day, and I probably won't make another video until after Christmas. So to you watching, take time for yourself, take care, have a very Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. I love you.